Hello and welcome to Pigeon Duiwe News. My name is Tato Schoen and today we're in Heidelberg visiting another Cape Townian, a Western Cape fancier, Mr. Charles. And in a few moments he's going to tell us about his race performances throughout the years. Stay with us.
Hi everybody. I would like to spread a message to catch the South African Pigeon News portal on pigeonduiwenews.com, and don't miss their web series where different fanciers get featured on the show every Fridays on YouTube. Pigeon Duiwe News TV. The news company is owned by Mr. Samuel, whom I met and who is a client of Pipa and who used to buy the Golden Prince and Gentle Lady and every other, many other super pigeons. And his main objective is to grow the sport, the pigeon sport in South Africa, as there is a big potential, and also to grow the sport worldwide. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to like or comment the channel. So I would like to say hello to all the pigeon fanciers in South Africa. Many regards from Belgium. I'm Nicholas. This was Nicholas from Pipa from Belgium. Bye-bye.
Mr. Charles, welcome to Pigeon Duiwe News.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Yeah, and can you tell us more about how you started racing and where is the inspiration coming from?
Sure. We don't want to start, I grew up in a household, a friend of mine, and his father was racing pigeons many months ago. So I was visiting the household, every day. And on a Saturday we'll basket, on a Friday they will basket, and they will ask me to write down the names of the birds. And obviously that was on an old system, write the names down of the birds. And on a Saturday I will wait for the birds, then I will ask his father to go to basketing. And so from there I've developed a keenness for birds, but never ever having a loft or so. Obviously you get married, you get settled, and then that love for birds tend to kick in. And so then I started to build me a small little loft there in the corner, and that's how I started racing. And then I started to race in the combine, which we call the Southwestern Pigeon Combine. Strong union. I think at that time there was about 103 or 133, speak under correction, fanciers. And my first season I didn't do too bad, I can still remember, I remember fondly my first race. I was last in the club, last in the union, and I went home. I told my wife, this is going to be a long season. But the second race I made the board, and the third race I nearly won the combine on my third race, and I would never forget that, And so obviously that's how I started to get into birds. And I think one of the fondest memories for me in terms of racing, I can still remember, I think Yasin was also there in the hole, if I'm correct. So they were calling out times, and obviously me staying in front, and I was the first person walking up. I was a beginner. Third race, everyone was looking, and I actually had 3 birds dropping together. I didn't win the combine. I went third, if I'm correct, third, fifth, and sixth, and I won the North section. And so that started this desire to do well, So yeah, and that's where I'm at. 5 years later, I'm still into it. I'm not racing this year because I'm just focusing on my studies. So I had 4 years prior to this racing competitively. Although I do race within a group, the PPL, Platinum Pigeon League, they're about 24 Ks in front of the front lofts in front. So I'm racing with them. I'm not doing too bad, I think I'm 12th or 10th on the log now. So, but that's just to keep the birds on the road. Obviously, for God willing, next year, if I can do another onslaught in terms of the racing.
And how do you keep your birds going? And what techniques do you use to keep in the game?
Last night someone asked me some tips. He asked me, why do we have basket the birds on? I said, probably a lot of things that one can do. And so, you tend to this sport is a very secretive sport, you know. And so I'm not secretive, you know. I always tell them it's a secretive sport, and there's a reason why it's a secretive sport, because the margins of error is so close. In 1 minute, a race is close. That's the reality, you know. They call up a clock, you know, first 2 minutes, 60 positions are filled. But I try to keep my birds as healthy as possible, you know, in terms of feeding. Try to keep them as healthy as possible in terms of exercising. And obviously my basic management, just keeping them in good shape of the race. I try to, on a Saturday, depending the budget, tend to do a long toss, you know, maybe 160. And during the week I just circle. And even some days that I don't even circle, I just keep them in. And I'm just trying to keep the buoyancy of the birds in place or intact. And they've been doing well. So yeah. This is 24626. She was the best yearling in our club and in our union as well. She's bred out of the Funny Millie 109 cock with my inbred, the Jager. This is a grizzle. He scored for me a position a few weeks ago. Untried, untested. I'm just trying to keep him ready for next year for the distance. His mother scored numerous times for me last year, and his father is a son out of the well-known in the Western Cape, out of the 65,000 cock. Scooter winner, also equal combined winner. I had 2 birds on a day, trapping together 80 minutes past 2 on a Beaufort West, and the cock actually beat it to the trap. She landed first. This is Sheerance.
And the number of birds, do you keep a same number of birds every year?
Usually I start off with about 100 pigeons. This year I started off with 41. I've got 38 after 10 races, and I mean I've got one hen that I've been racing. First race is now I think the 11th of the 10 race, and she will go again. So I've been racing them constantly because I'm trying to test out a certain way of racing, especially with these type of birds. And so I basket them 10 races on and on, and they still here. I haven't lost a lot of birds this year. And so, I mean, God willing, for next year, if I do start, I want to start off with 25 solid old birds. And so there's about probably 10 too much at the loft at the back. And so I will see how it goes. But that's how I keep them. I keep them in shape, you know, good feeding and a lot of workout, yeah.
And then what's your proudest moment?
My proudest moment. Sure. I think my proudest moment was that third race in the combine. You know, and just to give you the context, Southwestern Pigeon Combine, there is such a lot of top fanciers in that union, and everyone knows them. And so the day that they call out the times, I mean, usually they start with quarter past and a break of 5 minutes, and they started at 20 past 1. They started to call times, and 21 minutes past, I woke up. And 22 minutes past, no one. 23 minutes past, no one. 24 minutes past, 25 past, and 26 past, someone went up. But by that time, I had 3 birds already falling together. And so I think that was the proudest moment, just to break my duck in terms of getting on the score sheet. You know, last year, I'm racing in a union called Western, Wynberg District Homing Union. Tend to be. Sometimes I tend not to speak a lot of the results, you know, the birds must do that for themselves. But I've been, for the last 4 years, my first year I was a club champion. It was a strong club. I won first 10 positions in the club. But for now, you know, when you're racing now, for me, club positions is not a issue. You know, you want to win federations and sections. And so within the combine, been racing 4 years. I've won 5 combines, you know, easily. And I also entered a few birds on One Love Racing, you know. I won Clubmates third in the young bird section, Clubmates in the old bird section third in the final as well. CPL, I won a hotspot last year, and I was 19 in the final. And so it speaks about the type of birds that I do have. So I'm racing in the Wynberg District Homing Union that is form part of the Southwestern Pigeon Combine, 3 unions, Wynberg, Province and South Peninsula. And so I'm the champion in Wynberg for the last 2 years, you know. The third year I just missed out just because I ended up in the hospital. And so the guy pipped me in the last race. And so for the last 2 years, I was the first bird and the all bird champion. Last year, we raced 23 or 24 federations. I scored in all 24 federations throughout the season. Clock was on the board every week, you know. And yeah, so you asked me earlier the proudest moments in terms of my racing. I think that winning the combine. In actual fact, I was in the combine. We've got sections: South section, Central section, North section. And so I was the North section champion, you know. And this is what I would always tell fanciers. You know, there's a guy, Alden. You might have heard about him. Alden, he writes. He says these words. He says that even those that stays in council houses, they win, and that's my philosophy. You know, we in this sport it's about money, it's about prestige. People, there will have people that will have better birds than you, better resources than you, but it doesn't mean if you come from this type of area, the neighborhoods, you cannot win them. It's easy, you know. You just have to get the right birds, the right genetics. I believe in good genetics. If I can afford them, based on my pocket, which I know at the moment it's a bit difficult, but I tend to go for birds that have a proven history of doing well. And so I've won 5 combines. I'm racing 4 years. I'm 4 years club champion. The last year's 3-year club champion in the new union I'm racing. What else? So there's a lot of good successes and good stories over these years in terms of the birds performing.
Yeah, and if you would change anything, what would you change?
Sure. If I would change anything, you know, there's I'm a person that is keen in terms of observation. And so the first thing what I picked up at the combine when the guys were basketing, you know, you come there with a big basket with a lot of birds, and then I picked up, you know, the top fanciers, they come with small basket with small amount of birds, and I changed that. And so this year, I was basking the PPL, then I picked up another thing that people, when they basket, they don't bring in straw in the baskets. So I want to change that a little bit. And in terms of preparation, there's a few things that I've tested, you know, on the birds to see how they work. Tend to go natural a lot, you know, herbs and these stuffs, and it's been working. So obviously, I don't see where I'm racing at the moment as racing competitively. But God willing, next year, I want to implement some of those stuff, you know. I haven't, you know, strangely enough, and people will think I'm strange, but there's days that if I don't feel like circling the birds, I don't circle them. On a Monday and a Tuesday, I just keep them in the loft. Feed them as little as possible, and those birds are still on Saturday. They're still in the circle. And for me, it's about health. Health is optimum, you know. Health is key. And so I don't compromise with that. So I tend to test my birds to find out if there's any canker, coxy, and those type of things. And so I've been using a few new products just to see how my birds relate to it. And it's been working so far.
And your biggest mistake you've done?
My biggest mistake? Sure, you know, sometimes you throw good birds away because you change the points. And I won't do that again, you know. If I race a 20 race per bird scheme and only 7-8 birds are ready, I'll pack only the 7 and 8, as opposed to maybe wanting to chase points. You tend to pack birds that might not ready, you know. And so those are the mistakes that I've done. You know, strangely enough, and the way I do pigeons is totally different from how other people do pigeons. I got a great fancier friend of mine asked me last night, you know, the birds inside of the mouth is not pinkish and reddish and these stuff. I said, I mean, I don't do that. You know, I just handle a bird, check the wings and the flight shift right, see if there's buoyancy in terms of the body, and wait, that's all. I'm not an optometrist. I don't look into the eye, don't look into the mouth. That's just sayings that I'm not interested, and it's been working for me.
Yeah, and what is your objectives for the future?
Objectives of the future, you know, I think I've got unfinished business in the combine. I think I still need to prove my point there. I was last year, the whole year, second in the combine. And I was racing 2 schemes. And the birds that I've packed in the other scheme, they came before my main team, you know. And people wouldn't believe me, but I won the Bridgestone at CFHU and I won the Nova at CFHU. If I have packed those birds in the combine, I would have been the combine champion. That's just the reality. But so, hopefully for next year, I'd rather just race 1 scheme and just get the birds on the road and take it from there.
And okay, just give us a bit about racing here in the Western Cape. Well, what's can you give us?
Racing in the Western Cape, it's I think it's difficult. We've got mountains, you know. Again, like the guys in the Western Cape, they tend to before the first race they toss their birds. Lainsburg and Tausriver, that's behind the mountain. I never ever go behind the mountain. I just toss till Paul, because my thinking was if my birds can just hang behind the pack, that's sufficient. I'm comfortable with that. But in most cases they don't hang. They're in front of the pack. And you asked me earlier what was one of my best results. Last year I also won a truck. I won the Beaufort West WCPT. I had the best velocity on the day with one in. You know, I packed that in 5 races. 5 races, he was my first bird. And so yeah, racing in the Western Cape is difficult. You know, there's lots of arguments with lofts that are in front and lofts that is in behind. I don't get involved with those narratives, you know. As long as the bird is in front, obviously the conditions do play a role. You know, with the Northwester, we tend to do a little bit better than the front lofts. But then again, if the Southeaster is pumping here by us, the guys in the combine knows that obviously me being in front, I'm gonna have a good bird. And so I'll take it on that. As long as I've got something, a bird in the circle, and that's sufficient for me.
Okay, and what's your ultimate tip you can give?
My ultimate tip, yeah. You know, I told this guy last night, and he was asking me about birds. I said, you know, if you have got money, good birds, good genetics, you know, you can't raise a donkey on the July handicap. You need to have a pedigree bird. And so it's difficult sometimes to do get pedigree birds, but I do know these guys that do sell, you know. And so I do think that you need to have good birds. You need to have an excellent management program. You need to have a nice ventilated loft. You need to have, you can see my stock lift, the birds are healthy. So this makes easier, you know. So my season starts here at the back. And so it makes it easy when I take the birds over to the race loft, that things work out with me. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story, you know. And I think I hope I will be able to encourage some beginners in the sport as well. It is possible to do well. I believe in the principle of dove eyes, and sometimes you just need to focus, be like this, close your ears. There's a lot of champions in this game that cannot prove any results, and those are the guys that will take you just wayward. But you hear from someone that is top-notch, someone that you can learn from, rather stick to that person as opposed to listening to a lot of other people.
And there you have it from Mr. Charles. Rather listen to a top-notch fencer than listen to everybody else, because they might make you lose in this pigeon sport. Thanks a lot for watching. My name is Tatos Khone, and until next time, this is Pigeon Duiwe News.